asubuhi. Kwa majina naitwa
Yes, thank you very much, Nixon. Nixon works with us, but he's based in Tanzania. It's very fortunate that today in the morning he landed. We usually say that in Kisumu you don't drive in, you only land. And if you are to drive in, you have to drive a serious car, not the other car. Okay, by the way, at this point, we would really want to continue because already time is not with us. I would want to invite Dr. Karanja to come and take us through the recap and also give us to understand what we are supposed to be taking through today as we progress. Thank you. Okay. Karibu. Yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, again. A brief run through today's program. Thank you, Lillian, for being the prayerful woman. Mr. Chandi, you will be given about 7 to 10 minutes to talk about your relationship with the R4iCSA. And then we will have a brief recap of what happened yesterday. We'll then have a brief discussion about the results framework and the theory of change. Doing all this bearing in mind that we would like to leave for the field latest by about 11:30 or midday. So today we have a quite interesting session looking into what we can do given funding for the next project. So Mr. Chandi, without much ado, could you please come and address the House? Thank you very much. Only 7 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm Peter Chandi, as she has said. I am a director of Organic Africa, and we are quite well related with Kilimo Trust. But maybe before I go to our relationship with Kilimo Trust, I may start by saying what Organic Africa does and why are we relevant in this particular area. My interest since I left school, I think, has been organic farming, and we've tried very many organic farming techniques out to a level whereby we've come to understand exactly what organic farming means. I'm not going to go into that because it's also a long history, and I don't want to be like my governor who was reading the last year's speech. I want to be quite precise. What makes me relevant in this place is a product we have called BM Organic Booster, which has taken us like 15 years to develop. It is a kind of is a concoction, a mixture of several bacteria and microorganisms that we've been able to match together, and we have seen they are able to do most of the whatever is troubles people, especially people who want to go organic. Even the inorganic people, they have come to embrace our product. And the reason is that what we realized with them was the microorganisms we have are able to convert, to improve on the photosynthetic capacity of the plant. So one, we will use that product as a foliar. When you spray, it's a foliar fiend. Because people will always ask me, most of us who have been in school, we know you need NPKs and all that. So what's the NPK? As you don't follow that line, what we are using is we improve the plant's capacity to use sunlight to make its own food. And this one has proven to work. The other thing is that when you apply it in the soils, it deionizes the elements, the molecules in the soil, and then making minerals available to the plant. So sometimes you get the soils has everything, but because of the ionization, then they react and they form compounds that plants can't take. These microorganisms are able to deionize that, and then the elements are free to be taken by the plants. So again, you don't have to use too much fertilizers like they do in where they keep on adding and adding and adding. So those who use our product, they find they don't need to keep on adding too much fertilizer. We use the same product as our pesticide because in it, some of the microorganisms we have, actinomycetes and others, they are able to parasitize on most of the harmful insects that normally affect plants. And so, again, there's no need of having very strong chemicals on plants. And that makes us very unpopular with chemical companies, and they keep on fighting us, and we are very small. So we imagine if a giant agrochemical company knocks you, you sleep for maybe 1 year before you wake up. But that has not deterred us. We insist on our science to increase the immunity system of the plant. And by so doing, we are able to use them as a fungicide. I've seen some places where they are doing potatoes and they have sprayed everything and they are not working. I've seen cabbages also. I don't want to go into the details, but when we've introduced our product, I can even pass through a field where they have used our product and tell you this one has used it. And we go and knock, and most of the farmers, again, they hide it. They think it's a very secret thing. He goes and he tells, I don't show people what I use, but I'll show you. And then he goes. And this is what I use, but I don't like very many people to know because it's a magic. Generally, those who are interested to move on our side, they are benefiting from that product. There are many, many things that we're able to do. One thing we maybe I'm happy I met Professor Kimunto here. I think we have a lot of work to do. We've realized that when you use this product you are able to improve. I mean, the antioxidants in it you increase antioxidants in these vegetables, and so when you eat them, you're also able to improve your immunity. And by so doing, you will not be worried by COVID-19 or 15 or 17. Even if the COVID-20 comes, you're still there to live. So again, that's an area where we may not talk with a lot of authority, but so far we have seen some developments. Because we are also developing now some stuff for human beings from the same. But that one is for another day. Because I don't have a lot of time, our relationship with Kirimo Trust is that we did some, we have some experiments going on here in Hero and in Mwea, where we are trying to decompose rice straws using the BM. The one we did was not in the field, but in the area. And the one in Mwea, which I've been able to visit, is already ready for planting. It's fully decomposed. I've not been able to come here because it's far, but I'm here today, so maybe we'll be able to go there. And basically, we have ever done that one before. So again, this is the second time to do it in Mwea. So I am still sure of the results we will get. My idea is that maybe we can even do it in C2, just in after the harvest, we pour the BM there, and within 6-7 weeks, we have our own compost ready. But that one now is, I think, the work in progress, and maybe the report will come out later. I think I may say much about these things, but I think my minutes are over. Maybe if someone has a question or something. Yes, yeah, that's one of the major issues. Like, I will get called Kisumu, and even though I know someone is asking me, I'm around. Those who know the product want to use it, but they don't have to get it.
Asking me how much do you need, volume do you need to decompose, let's say, a ton of straw, and what is the cost, maybe per liter?
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chandi. And I think we have about 5 to 7 minutes of the same to just recap about yesterday. Yesterday, as we all remember, was the first day. We had a formal introduction of all participants here. And we're very glad that we were able to draw people from different stakeholder levels. Glad to have the farmers around, the university members, innovators, the bank, who seem to have left us today, Millers, Kilimo Trust as a big player, and CBOs as major implementers. I think this has really made the whole interesting. We had a presentation from the CEO of Kilimo Trust, really welcoming us and looking forward to this learning event, especially on what we have to do today, see how best we can plan for the future. What are our next steps? What else we can do? Sorry, one Agneta has a visitor outside. If you please. Sounds like a party now. Yes, so after session from the country team leader, Kenya, Agneta, please, you have a visitor outside. I think Agneta is not yet with us. So yeah, we had the presentation from the country team leader, Kenya, who really gave us an interesting view of what the achievements have been so far, very encouraging. And then we delved into the day to the rest of the team, especially on recommendations and next steps, and also some areas that needed a little bit more looking into. That also prepares us well for today's work of scaling up, especially on recommendations. So what we did yesterday will be needed today. We lost a lot of time somehow, but you are an exceptionally patient group of people, because we then got into section 2, which was a reflection and really looking into the byproducts, where some of the users, which was a very rich discussion. And yeah, we were able to engage with them, ask how things are working. They discussed profitability with us, and also opportunities for what next can be done. So for that, we, on behalf of myself and Michael, would like to thank you for having been patient yesterday. And then we had the beautiful wrap up with Mary, who with her team summarized for us nicely the policy issues they have picked for the day to carry back home. And we are glad to still have Mary, because there could be more policy issues today to add on to yesterday's list. And yeah, quickly, that was the end of yesterday. Yeah, and thank you very much. So without wasting a lot more time, because we really need to catch up today, I welcome Andrew to take us through the results framework. Thank you very much. Sorry, that wasn't participatory. We are trying to save time.
That we are reflecting on now. But I'll also take you back to our initial thoughts around the results chain of the picture of where we thought we wanted to take this program to. In 2019, we spent a whole day in Kampala, internally as Kilimo, and looking at what are the regenerative aspects of rice subsector, and how does it feed into other related sectors. So you can go to the next step, Paul. Yes, in terms of the change pathway, we're looking at, if you look at, we see how rice can contribute to one, resilience of our farmers, rice farmers, but then also how is it contributing to the bigger regenerative and circular economy, so that every product that comes out of the rice value chain is a raw material for the next phase of the chain, or even outside the rice farming system. And at what point do we churn products, and how are those products feeding into other systems? So we'll say resilience and sustainability in agri-food systems is contributed by mainstreaming regenerative and circular agricultural practices in food value chains. So we see rice as being interrelated with other food chains. And so then we wanted to set some space where we can test these models. And we found, if you look at rice, especially our experience in Tanzania, for the over 22 millers that we work with, there is a huge problem of asks. Every miller is asking themselves, where do we take these issues? I think it was echoed yesterday once, Mary, was it Mary, when you talked about Migori? Yes, and so it is a hill of opportunity, and it is not a hill of misery. So how is that challenge, constraint, converted into an opportunity? And also, how does it feed down into one a reward to the farmers in terms of increasing their competitiveness, where you both, apart from selling the paddy, you also know that the miller, as much as they buy the paddy, they also know that investing more on the farmers, they can get a reward even in the ask in the waste products. So then utilization of byproducts of rice farming systems contribute to regenerative agriculture. And then how is that? So then we need to have more of rice production. If for more of the rice products to be increased, then you need to increase volumes of rice. And so then we're looking at also, apart from the farmers struggling on their own, there is need for enabling environment. The government, whoever, any other players in this sector need to contribute to an enabling environment for the rice sector to thrive and flourish. Improve, but then it should be based on the evidences and the knowledge product that we generate, we document and share in such kind of fora, so that then our decisions are making. Next slide. I don't know how many people can see that. Anybody see that? No, that don't go. That one is even more confusing. Yes. So at the top, we're looking at what I mentioned about regenerative agriculture, and two contributes to that. So at the top is regenerative agriculture contributed by rice, but then we need to produce rice in a sustainable way. And then at some point, I remember I was discussing with Professor Gimurtso about what does that mean in terms of breeding? Because we were talking about straws, we talk about husks, and we also talk about the grain. So how can breeding balance all that? I don't know. It's possible, but it's something because at some point, when if the uptake of straws and manure, it becomes profitability, then we need to invest on the straws. At some point, also at some point, the husks may be much profitable than even the rice itself. Look at what the cement factory is doing now. There's a lot of demand. I think MRGM was to be honest, and why there is why Samuel is here. Surf Organics here today. There is already some tension between the various users of husks, and in the next 20-30 years, that tension may escalate and there will be cutthroat competition. So at the moment, we need to be looking at that and investing and projecting for that. That is what we need to do. That's what leadership and what that it means, because we need to be looking at the needs of the future generation and start investing for that now. And so, it's put on PowerPoint presentation mode, Paul. Whoever is managing the, okay. So we're looking at sustainable rice production, which takes care of all the aspects. But down there also, then we're talking about adoption of those sustainable rice practices, then building capacities, policy issues, then around now the prototypes. On this other side of the utilization of byproducts, then the assessment things that Ecaton and the Agro-Frontiers are doing now. And so then the other aspects of all this is the rice legume integration and assessments and all that feeding into policy dialogue. That was our result chain for these 2 years. That's what we are testing. And this week is what we are validating. Say, well, is it working? Are there things? I think personally, I would say it's exciting, because for some of us who won't sat down and were building this house then on a paper, and we're seeing the results now. I think some of those assumptions that we put in place were through, and we can see the results today. But then going forward, so that as Michael comes in, and then even today as we go out in the field, what were we thinking about the longer term results and theory of change? The last slide, Paul. It's taking time to transition, eh? It's the internet. So maybe I can speak to it off air as it comes. So apart from that, we're also looking at other subsectors that these rice byproducts is feeding into. Like the question that we're asking ourselves, the A making, how is it feeding then into the dairy industry? Yesterday there was also a debate about our cows here. And I think I was answered very well, because every time I come and say, what's wrong with these cows in Aero? They seem to be suffering. And last time we found them, they were jumping over some bridge or the water canal, and some of them were falling into it. And even the farmers or whoever is not making a small bridge. And